Good afternoon. Cecil Pendergrass, Chairman of the Lee County Commission. I'd like to welcome you today. Today I'm joined by my colleagues, Commissioner Wang, Commissioner Greenwell, and Commissioner Sanibel, along with other Lee County staff. We also blessed today to have Kevin Guthrie here, and also Secretary Dane Eagles here with us today, and County Manager Roger DeJarlais. We have some updates today regarding the storm and where we are in Lee County, and so we have some good stories to talk about. So we'll turn it over to Roger DeJarlais, our County Manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. I hate to do this, but we've got so much information I'm going to have to read to you for just a minute or so. So this, this is welcome to day 5. Search and rescue efforts continue, primarily down at Fort Myers Beach. As you know, that's the hardest hit area of Lee County. We have 11 USAR units and 7 strike teams on site in county that are working and will be working almost 24 hours a day until we complete those missions. We want to tell you that the Lee County Sports Complex is where we are staging an awful lot of this activity, and including teams that are coming from out of county and out of state. So the Lee County Sports Complex is for first responders only. It is not a place for the general public to go and get food and water and relief supplies and those kinds of things. It creates a terrible traffic interruption for us, and it's almost impossible to manage. Everyone's been very concerned about the healthcare infrastructure, the hospitals in particular. And so as the hospitals continue to stabilize, as they're coming back online, as they've started to get the type of water pressure that they need in order to remain in business. In addition to the hospitals, we are working with other partners for healthcare, such as Florida Department of Health in Lee County and the Lee County EMS, Lee County and Florida Division of Emergency Management, which is helping to coordinate and acquire all of the resources that are either here or on their way in. The examples are mobile medical units, disaster medical assistant teams, and field hospital. One of them, most notably, if you all people have lived here for any length of time, you remember the old Sears building in the Edison Mall, where we gave COVID vaccines. That is reopening as a healthcare center. Department of Transportation Infrastructure, we're making progress on bringing traffic signals back up and operational. Right now, we have about 400 signals in the county that are back up, which is about a little over 1/3 of the total number. So everyone, please drive carefully. If the intersection is unsignaled, treat it as a 4-way stop. Yesterday, we talked about damaged bridges in Lee County. So let's start today with Matlacha. As you know, the Matlacha Bridge was destroyed. And at this moment, as we speak, construction has started to rebuild a temporary bridge that is through the partnership with Florida Department of Transportation. We still expect for that bridge to be, the temporary bridge to be completed within the next 5 to 8 days. We started today on Bonita Beach Road to repair that roadway. It was overwashed at one of the key sections and is an access point for connectivity to Fort Myers Beach and important to us. So that, repair week shouldn't take but a couple of days. Then next up on the way from between Fort Myers Beach and Bonita Springs are the Big Hickory Pass, New Pass, and San Carlos Pass bridges, all with damage, but all in the process of getting the repairs that are necessary so we can at least open them to single lane traffic. This afternoon, FP&L reports 64% of their customer base in Lee County has been restored with power. LCEC reports that 22% of their customer base has been restored. On the water, Lee County Utilities has made progress increasing water pressure. I think we told you yesterday that we were very cautiously increasing pressure in the water delivery system from 45 PSI to higher levels. And I think this afternoon we are somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 65 pounds of pressure on our way to hopefully 75 or so. As the water service normalizes, one thing for folks to remember is that people that are getting more water, they're going to create more wastewater to clean and to process. What's going to happen is the wastewater systems, we have no doubt that we will have leaks like we did with the water delivery system, but it's impossible to identify until there is more wastewater to be treated. And if people know that there are fine leaks, please report them to us. And you can find those numbers on the Lee County website. Debris management. So our first push to clear the roads is finished. All of the major roads and most of the feeder roads and then the neighborhood roads are open. Crews are ramping up with our debris contractor as we speak. Those crews continue to come into town. The contract has been executed and they've been given notice to proceed, not only in Lee County unincorporated areas, but there are cities who have piggybacked their contracts with this same company, Crowder Gulf, who are beginning to ramp up their services as well. People, please be a little bit patient because this is a combination of contractors who are picking up debris, but also if you're in the city of Fort Myers, in the unincorporated of Lee County, and other places, we still have our normal contract solid waste haulers who are helping with that effort as well. So we'll be picking up in the right of way tomorrow. Regular trash service resumed today. So continue with that, although I think recycling service has not yet been resumed, and we'll let you know just as quickly as we can. We had pretty severe damage to some of our solid waste facilities, especially having to do with recycling. So please be patient. For people who have either been out on the water or have seen from the air just videos, you know that there are thousands of vessels, boats that have been destroyed by this storm, and they're piled up from everywhere, from in people's backyards to down in the mangroves in the back bay to just simply sunk in some of the shallow waters. And so there's a lot of debris from those vessels, and not just wreckage from those vessels, but also gasoline, diesel, and oil. That is creating an environmental hazard that is also being surveyed as we speak. And we're surveying all of that now so we know what resources we need to have in order to clean up. The Coast Guard has asked us to report, people to please report all of those wrecks when they see them, and oil spills and discharges of hazardous materials. And the phone number for the National Response Center is 800-424-8802. We know we're at that part of the response and recovery process where people want to start rebuilding. We've been incredibly fortunate that we haven't had much rain, but it's coming. People need to secure their homes, be able to get to secure their roofs with blue tarps and working with their contractors and others. And so in unincorporated Lee County, people that want to start rebuilding their homes, if they have a contractor, starting on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., we have all of our people working at our Ambin East building on 2nd Street, where we will have multiple stations set up. People can walk in the door, give us their information, their contractors hopefully, and we'll issue building permits on the spot. Building permits for things like roofs, fences, wells, the water heaters and those kinds of things be really pretty simple. We'll issue those on the spot. But people can apply for building permits in general if that's what they're prepared to do. If it is structural in nature, it's just simply going to take a little bit more time. So FEMA is going door to door in some of the impacted areas today. Their disaster recovery centers will be set up, and we'll announce those soon. And for those who have electricity and access to the internet, can apply for FEMA assistance at www.disasterassistance.gov. Now, things that I don't have sentences for. You know, yesterday we talked a little about rumors that are out there, and every disaster has rumors, and we try very hard to do rumor control. Some rumors are started by people who expect personal gain from them, whether it is to gain contracts for service. Sometimes they are scammers. But I want to tell you that when we find them, we have zero tolerance for that, and they will be arrested and prosecuted, those who are attempting to perpetrate scams. And for those who are attempting to perpetrate rumors for personal gain, we will deal with that as well when we find them. I can tell you probably our biggest problem right now in rumor control is Pine Island. There's lots of rumors out there that sound like Lee County is trying to starve people off Pine Island because they're not getting food. Well, the truth is that food is being delivered to Pine Island. Now, is it enough to sustain them over a long period of time? I can't say that yet. None of us can. But it is a National Guard mission. Food is being dropped and will continue to be dropped at the 3 fire stations on Pine Island. And I can't tell you for exactly how long that will last at the moment, but I can tell you that it's happening. We'll be going out there today to verify, in fact, that's what's going on. So, you know, please, if you're hearing rumors, you know, you can go to our website. We've got a place where you can report rumors, and we will fact truth them to the best of our abilities. So I'd like to turn it over, please, to Kevin Guthrie, who is the Florida State Director of Emergency Management.
Thank you, County Administrator. I literally just arrived here at the Lee County EOC to come in and support, where I'll be staying in at least the next few weeks. My goal here is to assist Lee County and the other severely impacted counties of Sarasota, Charlotte, Lee, Collier, DeSoto, and Hardy counties by being here on the ground and starting to work any issues, remove, as the First Lady of the state said, any type of bureaucratic red tape. Again, this is, you don't see a whole lot of state directors across the country, but you know, Florida's governor and America's governor, Ron DeSantis, has dispatched his agency head, and in this case, agency heads, to the area to remove any blocks and obstacles that are in the way and get things rolling and moving. I'm happy to, you know, as the county administrator has already reported, that we're getting pressure restored to the water system. The state of Florida has agreed to pick up the cost. Associated costs for the main water break, the 12-inch line water main break, and any associated issues that are going on there. So we did hire a contractor, Tetra Tech, who is here with a MIT engineer who is nationally known and has also worked on this system. That is the key reason that we hired that particular firm to do it, because he has knowledge of this particular system. So we look to get that restored. It is my goal that 100% of individuals that can receive water from that 12-inch line water main break will have that restored to them within the next by next Sunday. It is a goal. It's an objective we're trying to shoot for, and I'm positive that we will succeed in getting that done. So the governor also is very much in support of anything that we need to do here. So again, for Pine Island, I can assure you, County Administrator, the Florida National Guard will continue to drop helicopter drops of food and water at those 3 stations. We have been working in, I'm here to back that up, that we have been working in conjunction, or I guess I should say this direction. I have been working in conjunction with Sandra for probably the better part of 4 days now, 3 days, on getting food drops to Pine Island, to the fire station. So We're going to continue to do that. We were talking today on the way down about some continued strategies. We can't have the National Guard indefinitely with that air mission. So we will be, I'm going to be talking with Sandra today about some other strategies that we can start looking at and moving to right after this press conference. So again, County Administrator, thank you for having me and let me stay in your county and work out of it. But again, I'm here to help Sandra and the team as well as the other 5 most impacted counties by this disaster. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for your leadership and for being here. What you're seeing here today is teams working together. We're here with the state, with the great leadership of Governor DeSantis, and we're here with FEMA representatives from the White House. We're all working together because we cannot do this alone. So I'd like to introduce next to Secretary Dane Eagle, please.
Thank you, Chairman Pendergrass, and thank you all. What I can say is working closely with Kevin and of course, the locals here. I spent Irma in this building with quite a few of the people standing behind me, but the progress and the boots on the ground, the people that I've seen under the governor's leadership being assembled, this is one of the fastest and most comprehensive response efforts in Florida history. So you are not alone. We are going to serve you, and we're going to work together in doing so. And I have every faith with the people on the ground and the people in Tallahassee and across the state to make sure that that's done. As Secretary of DEO, Department of Economic Opportunity, my job is to work with Kevin, the governor, and the local delegations across the state to work on economic recovery. We work very closely with the private sector to ensure that stores are open, that supply chain is moving. And we also have 2 messages I want to leave behind with you today, and hopefully that the media can continue to carry it. For businesses and for individuals, we stand with you and we want to help. FloridaDisaster.biz, FloridaDisaster.biz is where you can find resources for individuals. Disaster unemployment assistance is now available thanks to the governor's leadership and making that happen, and cutting red tape so that you don't have to file for a waiting week and work search registrations. We want to cut red tape and make sure that assistance is available to you. Businesses looking to get back up on your feet, we realize that you may not have a business to go to or you can't operate because of the conditions. So we want to hear about that. Please file the business damage assessment survey at FloridaDisaster.biz so we can get that information and seek and dig deeper on how we can better serve you. So businesses and individuals for economic recovery, please go to FloridaDisaster.biz. We look forward to working with you in the coming days and weeks. I have a team in transport on the way here as we speak and look forward to announcing those locations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dane. Again, I've been saying it for the last 4 days. I'm going to say it on the 5th day. Be patient. There's a lot going on here and throughout the county, and be patient. I know some areas of the county is operating in normal conditions pretty much. But remember, there's a lot of victims out there. We're still in search and recovery. We're hoping to find more victims for this. There's survivors of the hurricane, but we're still in that process. So it's going to be a long road. As Dane touched on today, economic-wise is for the jobs. We're going to have long-term effects here for the next few years, not just for the victims of the homes that's been lost and the lives are lost, but the jobs alone. This community was already struggling before with affordable housing and housing. So now you're going to have thousands of people out of work from these areas of Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, and Captiva. They're going to be displaced and also looking for jobs. So we're going to have our whole community struggling. So it's ask you to be patient and help your neighbors. County Manager DeJarly, do you have anything else before we go to questions?
Yeah, just one final statement. I failed to mention the repairs for the Sanibel Causeway. As you know, that those bridges failed in 5 locations, and the state of Florida has agreed to do those bridge repairs, and the process for finding the contractor actually begins this coming Tuesday, and it is not quite enough to say that we are enormously grateful to the state of Florida for your assistance, and so we'll take questions if you have them.
Do you have any indication about how many people are still being searched for in a recovery effort?
We don't know the number of people who we are looking for at the moment, and quite frankly, I can't give you a very accurate number on total fatalities. Eventually, that number has to come from the medical examiner, because as you might imagine, the hurricane would not account for every death that's occurred in Lee County for the last 4.5 days. So we hope to start having some of that information in the next few days, and as soon as we have it, we'll let you know.
Have there been any law enforcement issues beyond the scams that you spoke about earlier with respect to people during this crisis trying to take advantage of it somehow?
We've not had the report of scams at this point, but for those of you who've been around hurricanes for any length of time, you know that they're coming. When I was driving into the EOC first thing this morning, I saw a lot of contracting trucks and trailers, names that I didn't recognize. So they're in town, and maybe the first thing they're going to try to do, they will do, is go house to house when they can find people and talk about putting a new roof on to help them rebuild their home. And please, give me half up front. They'll give them an estimate. Don't people need to really avoid doing that. You have to make sure that that's a licensed contractor who can actually do the work, and that your work is properly permitted.
Sir, we keep on hearing from people out in the field, and I think it's part of the rumors that you talked about. People keep on, the ones that have places on the beach, it could be a month, it could be 2 months before they're actually allowed to go out. I know you don't know specifics, but do you have a time frame of when people are going to be allowed to go back?
We don't have a time frame yet, but first of all, no one can compel people to leave their homes. We can't. You can't arrest them if they don't. You just can't do that. It's against the law. But what we tell people is it is really dangerous to be in Fort Myers Beach right now. There is no power. There is no water. We managed to power up the utility plant, but I wouldn't try to, live in a house and use it. More importantly, in discussions with FP&L, the electrical infrastructure on Fort Myers Beach has been destroyed. And so I think probably rebuilding that electrical infrastructure will be the one of the deciding factors when we say, okay, it's a good idea to go back. Again, as the chairman says, let's please be patient. It's going to be a while. I don't think it's unreasonable to talk about 30 days at a minimum.
And also, we're also out in the field, and the reports are starting to come out, people are starting to hear them, and they're hearing about, I know this has been brought up as far as like the delay on the decision. Everyone knows that the paths of the hurricane wobbled. Was there a delay, or would you have changed anything on the way as far as your decision making?
Decisions for evacuation are made based on the best available information at the time as the storm progresses. I can tell you that 3 days out from the storm, all of the weather forecasts took the storm up into the Big Bend area and then slowly began to come south just a little bit, but even as much as 24 hours in advance, 24 hours or so, the storm was predicted to go into Tampa. It wasn't until we made the decision to evacuate, in my opinion, at the earliest possible time that it could have been made. It's unfortunate that so many people chose not to evacuate. I think I told you the other day we had room for 40,000 people in our shelters, but only 4,000 showed up, which means that people made the conscious choice not to evacuate, and it is regretful, and no one feels worse than we do about all of that. But based on all of the conditions at the time, I wouldn't change a thing.
Have you heard anything or seen anything that makes you kind of understand why they decided to stay? I know you can't get in somebody's head, but just as a general phenomenon.
Well, as a general phenomenon, Lee County hasn't been hit with a storm like this ever. The last really devastating, we had Hurricane Irma, which turned out to be not quite as bad as we had anticipated, except for the vast flooding that took place, but we didn't have as much wind damage. You have to go back to the 1960s to find a storm that even remotely caused the kind of damage that we have now, and there are far fewer people living here. So in modern history, we haven't had a storm like this. People become complacent. They just do. I mean, how many times if you lived in Florida any period of time, you hear people talk about hurricane parties? A lot of people do it, and it's very sad. Had I been living on a barrier island when we had a 10-foot storm surge prediction, and when we had a prediction of a Category 3 landfalling storm, I'd have gotten off the island. I've lived here most of my life, and I can get as complacent as anyone. But, people should have vacated the barrier islands. Okay, we good?